Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the 700 Club. This weekend, the city of Dallas honored its fallen police officers who died in the bloody shooting rampage last weekend. And now some church leaders, like Bishop T.D. Jakes, are working to bring healing to their shaken city.
President Obama and former President Bush will appear at an interfaith memorial in Dallas tomorrow to pay tribute to the officers who were murdered. Ephraim Graham brings us this story from Dallas.
The memorial here outside the Dallas Police Precinct grows with each passing day. More flowers, more notes, more teddy bears, and more people traveling from far and near to see officers, say thank you, and send up a prayer.
Peace. Just peace.
You would have thought we'd be doing this for the year 2016.
That's all I want is peace.
The city saw chaos Thursday following a rally and peaceful protest.
And it was while we were dispersing that the gunfire began.
Pastor Michael Waters was at the protest calling for an end to police brutality after the deaths of Alton Sterling in Louisiana and Philando Castile in Minnesota.
It was white people, it was Latino people, it was Asian people, it was young people. There were children in that crowd. But everyone there in that non-violent, peaceful rally and march were there because they love life and they want to preserve it. And it has broken all of our hearts that life was taken that night.
Police say gunman Micah Johnson claimed he was angry about the deaths the protesters were marching against. That's why he took aim at white officers, killing 5 and injuring 7.
You would still hear the gunfire, and it was a shock because you went from total peace and tranquility to total chaos at a moment.
The sniper attack on 12 Dallas police officers reminded many of another dark day in the city's history, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy here in Dealey Plaza in 1963, just blocks from where the gunman took aim at the officers, delivering the painful blow to the city and to the country.
I will remain confident.
The pain gave way to praise here at the Potter's House Church.
Many of you recognize, in fact, all of you must recognize that we've had a very challenging week in our city, been tested to our very core, shaken to our very foundation.
Where Bishop T.D. Jakes canceled his regular Sunday sermon and hosted a town hall. At the table, the city's mayor.
You don't demonize people. You say, hey, I think you got it wrong here. Okay? But God loves you, and I'm going to lift you up. Okay?
An officer who watched a colleague die in the tragedy, shot in the face.
Sometimes you dream that this person's sitting next to your bed or standing next to your bed asking you why. And those are the hard times.
A protester who was for a time falsely accused of being the shooter.
It was first a moment of disbelief. I thought they were joking until they started sending me the images to the phone.
And the family of the man shot and killed in Louisiana last week.
But when I saw the second tape, he suffered.
Sandra Sterling recalled her final moments with Alton, visiting the graves of family members just 2 days before he died.
And we went to his brother's grave. His brother, his mother, my father, and his dad. And we visited each one of those graves. And that's the last time I saw him and heard from him.
That pain, the city's pain, and the country's pain is why Bishop Jakes called for the day's conversation.
Injustices, police killings, domestic violence, black-on-black crime. Oh, we got a lot of stuff to pray about. But we're gonna make it.
And there are hopeful signs just outside police headquarters. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Dallas, Texas.
Thanks, Ephraim. Little personal remembrance. Years and years ago, but I came down here in Portsmouth, Virginia, about 1959 and about 1960. There was a riot of sorts in the mid-city section of Portsmouth, And I went with a friend, Dick Simmons, down there to see if we couldn't do something to help people. And we gathered around us a group of black teenagers. And I said, if you want to find the Lord, let's kneel down and I'm going to lead you in a prayer. And these people very reverently knelt all around. We were on a sidewalk and we were kneeling in prayer. And as I was praying, I heard the crunch of tires of a vehicle coming up close to us. And the next thing we know, we were being charged by police with dogs, big, burly policemen with nasty, snarling dogs. And the dogs had their mouth out and they charged into us. All we were doing was praying. And of course, from that moment on, these kids dispersed. They ran across the street to the tenement where they lived and began throwing rocks back at the police. And all of a sudden, we had an incident where before we were having a peaceful prayer meeting. I got a feeling of what some of these folks have to go through. And it hasn't been pleasant. It certainly hasn't been in the South and I guess in the North as well. But the truth is, because some bad apples in the police force shoot somebody 1 to 2, it doesn't justify somebody 1,000 miles away from taking a gun and shooting 6 police officers to death. That isn't right. We must defend the police. The police are there to protect and to serve. And the vast, vast majority are doing everything they can to put their lives on the line so that you and I can be safe in our homes from violence and from crime. And this I think, is an aberration. What I'm concerned about is the professional agitators who come running into these scenes and start calling on Black Lives Matter and don't shoot, hands up and all that. To make a hero out of a guy who was high on drugs and breaking the law and trying to steal a police officer's weapon away from him, that isn't the kind of hero that the black people need to look for. So together as Americans, we can overcome this, but we must realize that there has been a serious problem. But now the problem isn't near as bad as it has been. And I think what we need to do is come together as Americans and love each other. And we can do it. There's no question about it. But I've seen it when I was kneeling on the sidewalk in a troubled area with young black teenagers kneeling in prayer, calling on Jesus. I realized I had the answer, and I still do, because the answer is in Jesus Christ. Well, Americans are still taking to the streets to protest the police shooting in Louisiana and Minnesota. John Jessup has that story.
That's right, Pat. The weekend brought more protests as investigations are beginning into both of those shootings. And there's a story emerging of a mom who literally shielded her son from bullets in Dallas, while the police in turn protected both mother and child. Dale Hurd has the story.
It was a weekend of angry protests and arrest. Racial tensions at the breaking point after Dallas Army vet Micah Johnson used his military training to shoot and kill 5 Dallas police officers at a Black Lives Matter protest over the shooting of black men in Baton Rouge in Minnesota. And the Dallas police chief says he planned an even deadlier attack, possibly using explosives. More than 160 people are believed to have been arrested during the weekend protest in Baton Rouge alone. At least 30 of those arrests Sunday night, as a few hundred people tried to block roads. There have been demonstrations throughout the country. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson called for dialogue.
There's a lot of anxiety in this country right now, but at a moment like this, we need to take the opportunity to come together, develop community relations across the country.
Speaking to the Spanish media Sunday, President Obama commented on some of the rhetoric at Black Lives Matter demonstrations.
In a movement like Black Lives Matter, there's always going to be some folks who say things that are stupid. And I don't think that you can hold well-meaning activists who are doing the right thing and peacefully protesting responsible for everything that is uttered at a protest.
And on social media, some are pushing the theme that President Obama has justified the violence against police, although the president has also offered his support for officers as well. And this Dallas mother, being called a hero for shielding her son from the hail of bullets in the Dallas shooting and getting hit in the leg, was thanking police for protecting her family.
So thankful. I had never seen anything like that. The way they just came around us and just guarded us like that.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thanks, Dale. In other news, with just a week to go before the Republican convention, more speculation over who presumptive nominee Donald Trump will pick as his running mate. Indiana Governor Mike Pence reportedly is very high on the list, with the Washington Times reporting that several sources close to the Trump campaign, along with politicians in Indiana, believe there's an extremely high chance Pence is his pick. Trump is reportedly considering others, including retired Army General Michael Flynn. But Flynn parts ways with Trump on the issue of abortion, telling ABC News that women have to have the right of choice. Pat will be interviewing Donald Trump on a range of issues, and you can see that exclusive interview on tomorrow's 700 Club. Pat?
Well, Mr. Trump's going to be here in Tidewater at the city center in Norfolk. I think there's a closed meeting. He's talking about defense issues, and I will be talking to him after that. And then we will be bringing you that exclusive interview tomorrow on this show. Wendy?
So maybe we'll know more about who he's going to select for
Well, he
vice
told me
president.
the last time what he wanted, and it wasn't a general, so we'll see.
Okay, that's going to be exciting. Awesome.
Okay.